Hello, friends. I welcome you all to this 37th video on law of evidence. And today we are going to study section 93 and 94 of Indian Evidence Act. Uh, Before starting, as usual, let us have a brief overview as to what all we are going to study in it. First, we will see what are patent ambiguity. We'll start with ambiguity, then we'll learn the two types of ambiguity, the patent ambiguity and the latent ambiguity. Latent ambiguity we will discuss in the next video. Ambiguity we will be discussing here. And is oral evidence allowed to remove it? And as usual, this is an important, many a times it is asked in examination, and we have put two acronyms so that you can remember it. So now, first of all, let us clear certain, in brief, certain things. That one is ambiguous. So, ambiguous document. What is meant by ambiguous document? So, ambiguous document means that from the language or a plain reading of the document, if we give a plain reading or the language of the document is such that the sense is not clear, that it creates certain doubt as to how to apply it. So, this is what is ambiguous document. So, document which on reading, on giving a plain reading to it, the sense is not clear. The language is such that it creates doubt. Now, in case of an ambiguous document, can oral evidence be given or not? That is, can extrinsic evidence can be given or not? This is what has been discussed under section 93 to section 98. Now, this ambiguity can be of two types. So, one ambiguity is called patent ambiguity, and another is called latent ambiguity. Now, patent means which is apparent on the face of it. So, patent ambiguity means that the defect is apparent, defect is on the face of it, that it creates doubt as such. But in latent case, it is hidden, the defect is hidden, that is, on plain reading it makes sense, but when we try to apply it to the facts, then it does not make any sense. Here, on the plain reading itself, it does not make any sense. While here on the plain reading, it makes a sense, but when we apply it to the existing fact, it does not make a sense. Now, 93 and 94 deals with patent ambiguity. 95, 96, 97, and 98 deals with latent ambiguity. This we will see in the next video. This we will see. Now, one thing to be remembered is that here, the in case of patent ambiguity, extrinsic evidence or oral evidence is not allowed. While in this case, in latent uh, ambiguity, extrinsic evidence is allowed. Now, let us see it in uh, study the patent ambiguity, that is section 93 and 94. Having understood what is ambiguous document, what are the two types of ambiguity, and what is patent ambiguity, that is a ambiguity which is apparent or on the face of it. Now, here just remember this pads. The word pad, and therefore I have put picture of also it, and this person who is a fat man. Excuse me for using these, but it will help you to remember it, therefore I have made it. So in case of pad, please remember here P stands for patent, that is which is apparent. A stands for ambiguity, and this D stands for disallowed or denied. So always remember, many a times in pre also this question has been asked. Always remember pad, that is in case of patent ambiguity, extrinsic evidence is disallowed or denied. Now, this fat, what does this fat means? This fat F, A and T. This is related to section 93. This is related to section 94. Now, F stands for on the face of it. So, if there is ambiguity on the face of it, it deals with 93. It is a patent ambiguity, and the evidence T stands for taboo, that is, which is not allowed. So, evidence is not allowed. We'll just study section 93. Exclusion of evidence to explain or amend ambiguous document. When language used in document is on its face, so on its face, ambiguous or defective, evidence may not be given of the fact which would show its meaning or supply its defect. So if from the plain reading the language it is such that there is ambiguity, the evidence will not be allowed. For example, A agrees in writing. So A agrees in writing to sell B horse. And it says that I will sell you horse for rupees 1000 or rupees 1500. Now, as this is or, so what will be the price? Is it 1000 or is it 1500? So it is totally ambiguous because it is not mentioned whether what will be the price. No one can determine it by reading it. So it is an ambiguity on the face of it, and therefore evidence will not be allowed to be given. Similarly, the second is that a deed contains blanks. Evidence cannot be given of the fact which would show how they were meant to be filled because it is ambiguity on the face of it. Now, the reason for exclusion of these evidence is that the document is defective, and if the parties did not care, if didn't took proper care to remove it, then to remove it at a stage where dispute has arisen is late and should not be allowed. So this is what is the section 93. Now section 94 is where it is A stands for that application. That is, suppose some facts are given in the document and this fact applies to the existing circumstances or facts, then evidence will not be allowed to be given that it was not meant that these facts were not meant actually. If the thing which is written in document applies to certain fact, then it is, and a person wants to give evidence to in contrary to it, then it is taboo, that it won't be allowed. that is section 94. We'll just read it. Exclusion of evidence given against application of document to existing fact. When language used in document is plain, so language is plain in itself, and when it applies accurately, so it applies accurately to existing facts, evidence may not be given to show that it was not meant to apply to such fact. In that case, if it totally applies to the fact, then you cannot give evidence that it was not meant to apply to those facts. So A sells to B by deed my estate at Rampur containing 100 bigha. Now A has a estate at Rampur and contains 100 bigha. So in this case, so A is selling to B and it totally applies to the existing fact, then A can later on cannot say that no, I didn't meant Rampur as such, because it totally applies to the fact. So this is how we are going to remember the two sections, and these are about the patent ambiguity. So just to remember that PAD, patent ambiguity, that is ambiguity on the face of it, is disallowed or denied. Extrinsic evidence cannot be given. Remember FAT 93 is if it on the face of it the document is erroneous, then evidence cannot be given to clear it, or if the document is such that it applies to the existing fact, then to deny it evidence is not allowed or it is taboo. So that's all for today. Thank you, friends.